Burgle just turned a year old about a week or two ago. Figured it'd be a good time to do a little video on him. If you're wondering what a Mastador is, it is a lab mixed with a bull mastiff. And I had never heard of that mix, that breed. But this past year I've become a pretty big fan of them. At least of my Mastador Bergelmir. Been a pretty good boy. You know, he has his moments, but he's a puppy, so it is what it is. Did a 6-month-old video when he turned 6 months old. And now I'll do a little talking about how it's been over the past year. And you know, just my experiences with my Mastador aren't necessarily going to be the same experiences you have with your Mastador. Obviously all dogs, even of same breed and like breed, have different personalities. They're just different. So, and it's on how you train them. Don't blame the dog, blame the handler. It's a darn good motto. That's Bonzo here. Bonzo is my Roddy Akita mix. He's one fearless dude. Bear moves up through here. He's always peeing in that spot. Yep, there's a little bit of a path that winds up through in there. You probably can't see it, but yeah, I've had Burgle since he was 8 weeks old. Been showing him the way. Taught him how to walk on a leash. I'd say he does it pretty good. He's pretty respectful. You know, the lab part of him is kind of the easy trainable part if you can harness all that energy. He's got American lab. And there's a difference between the American and English labs. English labs, they're not, you know, they're kind of lazy. They're just cute. Looks like something you want to just come up and snuggle with. Those are the English labs. American labs are the athletic, sporty, hunting kind. And you know, black labs are freaking awesome. I'd never had one before this Mastador. Never had one before Burgle, and pretty impressed so far. But I could see where if I didn't start training him from day one, where he could be a little bit out of control. Like my next door neighbor, they have a chocolate lab that you would think it's like special. We'll leave it at that. It's just wild, crazy, doesn't listen, doesn't walk on a leash, yanking and pulling. But you know, they didn't work with that dog from the start. I learned a lot from Bonzo when Bonzo was a puppy, like, and I've stated it in other videos, but Bonzo and I have been through a lot and worked through a lot of things, and it helped me to figure out like a nice foundation for training my dogs. Not that it would necessarily work for you training your dogs, but it's kind of worked for me with Bergelmir. And I'll learn a lot from Burgle. And my next dog after Burgle, I'll do some even more things to kind of just keep on tweaking it till I can, you know, never stop learning. Just try and get better and better every day and every dog that I end up having. And that's only fair to the dog and to myself. No sense in you know, having a bad dog. There are bad dogs out there, but I'd say 98% of them are good. Every once in a while you get a bad seed, but most of that is kind of like brought out of the dog or learned behavior. Like, you know, you let a dog charge the door when somebody rings the doorbell. Maybe it starts off, you've got a 10, 12-week-old puppy. Somebody knocks on the door and the cute little bugger just gives a little growl or a little woof. Maybe a little cute little bark. And it's cute. And it's funny. And see, look at this cute little guy. Oh, he's guarding. He's protecting. And you kind of encourage it. And the dog feeds off that. And then it spirals into, you know, a couple years later, your dog's all grown up. Big old, let's say it's a big old male German Shepherd or Rottweiler or Akita or a Bull Mastiff, a Lab, any dog, even a little dog. And you have taught them to charge the door when the mailman comes and just get crazy. Nobody likes that. I mean, I guess if I was living in a city somewhere, we had strange characters knocking on the door occasionally, it'd be nice to have like a Bonzo to charge the door and make a big scene. Kind of make them think twice about what their next move was. But got to be able to control the dog. So Bonzo, what he does, if he hears somebody creeping around outside or somebody knocks on the door, well, he hears it way before I do. If somebody's creeping or he senses it, he'll smell something out of the ordinary and he'll give a deep little growl to alert me there might be something going on out there. But he will wait. He'll wait on the bed. Because I just have a small room and we hang out on the bed. It's like a 10 by 10 box. That's all I need. So that's my life with me and my two dogs. It's not as bad as it sounds, really. A lot less to worry about. But he'll stay up on the bed. He will sit up into an alert position and be locked in on what's going on outside. And he'll wait until I say go check it out. But as soon as I say go check it out, he's gone. And he'll wait. I can creep up to the door, slowly open the door without him trying to bust through it, and then say go check it out. And he'll fly out that door and go check it out. And that's exactly what I want out of Bonzo. That's what I kind of expect out of my dogs. And I'm working on Burgle, because Burgle's, he's a little different. Bonzo only barks when he's supposed to. And I try and remember, and I just can't remember how much he barked when he was a puppy, if he kind of worked himself out of all the barking. I can't remember if he barked a lot, which probably means that he didn't bark a lot. I got lucky with Bonzo, because I think that's a trait of Rottweilers. They're mostly just going to bark when it's something that warrants barking. And Akitas are pretty silent until they need to be as well. So, I guess partially the way Bonzo acts is because of his breeds. But I have channeled and harnessed that. But Burgle's a little different. Burgle, when it comes to, he's starting to kind of pick up on being alert. Like, he's actually, in certain ways, a lot more alert to changes to the environment than Bonzo is. See, Bonzo, if there's a slight weird movement, even if somebody's kind of walking weird, or if he hears somebody kind of creeping around, he smells something that's off, then he alerts me. He gives a deep little growl, and he knows something's going on, and he wants to go check it out. And dogs are awesome. Like, he sees, smells, hears anything out of the ordinary well before I do. But by him alerting me, like, I pay attention to my dogs, I'll start listening, looking, smelling, just trying to figure out what's out of the ordinary. And Bonzo stays quiet. Burgle, and I hope he grows out of it, because I've been working on it with him from day one. He likes to bark. Like, and he started to ease down off it. Like, I feel like he's starting to get it. Burgle's starting to figure it out that that's not what I want him to do. But, like, if there's little things out of the ordinary, instead of just giving a deep growl like Bonzo, Burgle wants to start woofing and barking. Even after I tell him no and be quiet, he'll continue to do it. Now, the way I've figured out to stop him is to call him to me. If I call him to me, or if I go over to where he is, woofing and barking, then he'll stop. So he's just basically trying to tell me something's going on in a different way than Bonzo does. Aren't you? You're crazy. He's a year old and he's already 74 pounds. Or at least 2 weeks ago, when I went and got him his rabies, we weighed him and he was 74 pounds, 12 months old. You can tell he's still a puppy. So, yeah, we've got a lot to work on with him, but he also, like, getting back to picking up on things that are out of the ordinary or changes to the environment. It could be, it could be anything. Like, one day last week, a gentleman came to put flooring down in one of the cabins. It was pouring down rain, and the guy backed his truck, which he asked the owner, and the owner said it was all right, and it's the owner's place, so all right, all good. But like, you know, he backed down through the yard. It had been raining all day, and he left a big old divot down through the yard. Big old tire track. I don't know if it was when he backed down in or pulled out, but either way, there was something new in the yard. The next day, when Burgle and I went out back, first thing he does is go right over to that tire track. Picked up on it right away. Like when he walked into the backyard, I watch him. He scans everything. If there's something out of the ordinary, he's on it. So he went right up to that track. Let's say this is a track. He started at the one end of that track and sniffed his way all the way up that tire track till it was on the road. And I was pretty impressed by that he picked up on that. See, I don't know, I pay attention to everything my dogs do. And I think, you know, for one, it's just fascinating. It fascinates me. Like, everything about them is fascinating. You know, and they are like a great tool. And I can see why, well, back in the day, man and wolves joined together to go get food and hunt. Because I think we were probably, you know, there'd be a pack of us and a pack of the wolves. I mean, nobody knows for sure, but I imagine that's how it was. And we benefited each other to be able to eat. And people still hunt with dogs today, and depending on what kind of hunting it is, I'm all for it. I think it could be a special connection with your dogs. But I don't hunt with my dogs. I could probably go squirrel hunting with Bonzo and Burgle. That's another thing. Like, Bonzo, this is another difference that it might change over time. Because, you know, puppies, until they grow up into maturity, like they kind of, you know, they're a little softer. They're not hardened yet. Like, but there's a difference. I see a pretty big difference so far between Bonzo and Burgle. Bonzo is more of a killer. Bonzo is a killer. He's got a whole lot of notches on his belt. Just, you know, it goes back to all his senses. Like, he, even from when he was just like a little puppy, I'm talking like 6, maybe 7 months old. Might even have been earlier. Probably more around half a year old though. He started sniffing through the leaves that first winter, and he was catching voles and killing them. Voles and moles and mice. Like, he'd like pick up on a little scent through the leaves and work his way all the way through. He could smell it. He's got an awesome sense of smell on him. He'd work his way to the end of the line and he'd get that vole or the mole or the mouse. And he kind of like hops on them, kind of like a wolf would. You know, dogs all came from wolves, and different dogs like kind of carry down different, you know, traits and different things with them from when they were wolves. You know, some dogs will bury their share of the meat. Bonzo kind of like scrapes around a little, makes himself a little nest on the ground, kind of kicks all the rocks and dirt and stones out of the way before he lays down. He'll kind of make himself a little nest. He does it whether it's outside on the ground, inside with a blanket. He'll kind of stir around, make himself a nest. Burgle doesn't do that. And Bonzo kind of hops down onto the leaves to like catch mice. He'll like hop up in the air and come down and pounce on them, and different things I've seen like wolves do in different videos I've watched. But Burgle's just not that too much of a killer yet, and I don't know if he'll turn into one or not. Like, he's more of a lover. He's more loving. Like, Bonzo's extremely independent. And of course, there's times where he'll be a little affectionate to me. But until Burgle came along, like, I always kind of felt like dogs aren't loving and affectionate in the way we are. They just kind of show their love and affection through their loyalty. And I think they still do that. But Burgle, I remember the first time Burgle did this. I had him, at some point I had him in my arms, and I remember he kind of just laid his head up over my shoulder affectionately and just laid it there. And I could tell it was just like him being affectionate in a way that Bonzo never kind of did that kind of thing. It was kind of showed me that, dogs can be a little more loving than, you got trained. Burgle is very loving and affectionate. Bonzo's more of just a stone cold killer. Like, the other day, we're walking up the tracks, and Burgle has gotten to be where he's extremely fast already. Like, he's fat. Bonzo's fast, but Burgle's on a different level. Like, I've seen him neck and neck with the deer out in the woods, like a full-grown, full-size deer, neck and neck with them, chasing them up through the mountain. Like, I feel like in another year or two, he might end up bringing one down. And I hope he doesn't do that, but, I'm not going to encourage it. But if that happened, that'd be pretty crazy, wouldn't it? That'd be frickin', in one sense, pretty awesome. Pretty wild. I wouldn't want him killing anything, and, but if it happens, that's nature, right? But, Burgle ran down this squirrel fast enough to run down a squirrel, and he pounced on it, and he had his mouth on it, but he didn't bite down. Like, he didn't know to kill the squirrel. And the squirrel ended up very cartoonishly, like, spinning around in between his legs and then running up a tree. And Burgle just didn't know what to do. Like, Bonzo, the one time he got a squirrel, he made it count. Like, he pounced on that thing and he got it. I still have the squirrel tail from it. It's his one and only time he ever got a squirrel. Trains are coming. Yeah, train's coming this way, so it'll be a minute, but that'd be cool to see. Heard it way off in the distance. We'll get situated up here and then we'll get back to talking. All right, there. All right. Yeah, babies. There, boy. So, yeah, where was I? Burgle's not as much of a killer as Bonzo is. Bonzo's a stone cold killer. Burgle's more of a lover. He's more affectionate. Bonzo, if he doesn't know you, you might as well just stay away from him. He doesn't like it when, how people act around like pets. They're like, hey, and all that shit. Pardon my language. and all that crap, and like, just like acting crazy and high pitched and just and all that, Bonzo will growl and bark him back. He does not like it. Burgle, on the other hand, he's just, you know, he'll go up to anybody. He wants to just come up and say hi, and, well, not off the bat. Like when somebody's walking onto the property or somebody's creeping around he hasn't seen yet and he doesn't know who it is, he will, he'll like run up to him with doing this woof, 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 right? And he wants them to stop. Like his mohawk sticks up on his back. He's got a little, you know, his hackles come up. Like kind of this, it's like a long little mohawk along his back. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty cool looking. But he wants to run up. He wants you to stop. He wants to smell you. He wants to make sure you're all right. And then it's like, all right, you're cool. Now, give me some loving. Pet me. Rub my belly. You know? He'll go up to anybody and go say hi. Bonzo wants to be left alone. Burgle wants some loving from everybody. Which, you know, I guess I'm alright with that. It kind of takes the heat off Bonzo. Bonzo just doesn't want to be bothered, and people have always tried to pet him, and it's just kind of like really annoying. It's like, don't go up to somebody's dog you don't know and try and pet that dog. It's a recipe for frickin' disaster. Train's way down there. Right there. We're way up there, aren't we? That's a long way down. So yeah, Burgle's turning out to be a good guard dog, but in a different way than Bonzo is, you know. And I think Burgle will figure it out. You know, he's only a year old. He won't be fully mature till he's, shoot, what, 3 years old? Fully grown, fully matured. He'll be a force to be reckoned with, I assure you. And, you know, I'm going to keep trying to mold him into just a good dog. Like, it's all about just, you know, I always try and make it very clear to both of my dogs what's tolerable, what I expect from them, what I don't want them to do, what I don't expect them to do. I kind of leave it at, you know, if they get into doing something I don't want, I'll reprimand them. But all I really have to do is just give them a little, hey! And if I do that, look, I wasn't even looking at him. You come up, good boys. Yeah, big old scruff head. You guys are crazy. Can't let a good train go to waste. Burgle, stay away from the edge, dude. He's a little fearless. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know, I kind of, with Bonzo, like I was a little too overprotective for a while. Hey, dude, come on. But there's certain things I really don't want them to slip off the edge. So, figure it's better off. Y'all stay right here with me. Alright? Just relax. So I kind of like, I feel like weeks, the first, from weeks 8 to week 16 or 12 to 16, let's say. Like that little period there is super, super important to the development of your dog. And this is my opinion as a non-professional who has never taken any classes or went to school for dog training. This is just off my experiences and what I've kind of figured out over time. But Burgle definitely, I kind of, from the start, have let him know what I expect from him. And the lab part of him wants to please. And, labs are a very trainable dog. For the most part, if you can just stick to your guns and kind of lay down like a base plan, like extremely trainable. They make people look good. A lab will make a handler look real good. As long as you can stick to your guns and, stick to what your training regimen is. Like, they're smart, they're loyal, they just want to please you. Now, the bull mastiff part of him is super hard-headed, and I can already see it sometimes, where like I'll go to call Burgle over to me, and he'll just kind of look up at me and kind of give me an F you look. Just kind of like, I don't think so, dude. I'm in the middle of something. See, Bonzo does that. And, the best thing I can do is just try and make myself the most interesting thing out here. Because if I'm the most interesting thing, my dogs are going to follow me. If I'm not the most interesting thing, they're just going to go do their own thing. Go on their own little side quests and micro adventures and just go get in trouble. If I'm not the alpha male, if I'm not the alpha, which I don't even like saying it like that. It's kind of silly, but I have to be the one in charge. I have to be the leader, and I'm the one that they know is going to protect them. I mean, it comes down to trust and loyalty. Like, that takes time. Like, Burgle and I haven't really, built our full bond yet. I feel like it takes a good, I think, sometimes maybe not so long, but I think it takes a good year to 2 years to really build that bond with a dog. Like, these people that from day one are telling their puppies how much they love them all day, like 200 times a day. I love you, all day long. I mean, I don't know, maybe they really do, but to me that just seems like, I don't know, it's just, to me, I'm not going to tell my dogs that I love them unless I really feel it. I don't tell anybody, I don't tell a girl I love her on the first date. Let's put it that way. I mean, we've got to kind of work into that. It takes time. It all takes time. And I feel like my relationships with dogs are the same. Like, it takes time. That's pretty. See that sun ray coming down through there? So Burgle and I are building a relationship right now, and it's fun to do, and it's cool to do, and it's something special, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like, Bonzo and I have been through a whole lot of different crazy scenarios and different things, and we've stuck together through thick and thin, and we've made it this far in the journey. Like he's 6.5 years old, so it's been a long ride. It's been an interesting ride. But like we've been hacking on through it, and we've built a serious bond that can't be broken. And people that, I know some of y'all have had dogs, probably a lot of y'all watching this video, of course. I don't think you'd be watching it if you didn't love dogs or weren't interested in possibly getting your first dog, maybe even a Mastador. But I mean, you just got to build that bond over time. And you know, like, I think I've told this story before, but Bonzo was a pretty young pup, and we went hiking up into the mountain. And when I left that day, it was sunny and nice out. A couple hours into the hike, like, it started raining, and it slowly got harder and harder. And I was maybe about, I'd say, I was maybe about 2 miles, mile and a half from where I was trying to get to. And I kept pushing us on through. I used to bring like a sheet with me, a top sheet, and I would just bundle Bonzo up in it and tie it up on over my neck and kind of hold him when he was little and he'd get tired. You know, I'd still go on like big major hikes. We would just, you know, I could tell when he was getting tired and I didn't want to overexert him. You know, when puppies are developing, you don't want to over push them and kind of screw things up. So I'd pick Bonzo up and carry him, but it was pouring down rain. It kept getting harder and harder, and it got to where it was a major downpour. And I remember looking down at him, and I had him inside of my rain jacket, and he was completely soaked to the bone, and I was completely soaked to the bone, and he just kind of looked up at me and just blinked his eyes. And like, we just had a little moment. And if you've never had a moment with a dog, it was a special moment. And it was a bonding moment. And we were making it through something. We were getting through something. And it was hard. Like, it was a little bit treacherous, a little bit dangerous. These guys are digging around here for something. But like, we made it through a traumatic situation. And we did it. And we made it out alive, and I protected Bonzo, and Bonzo knew that, and I feel like that brought us a little closer. And there's been scenarios, many scenarios like that with Bonzo. Now, Burgle, there's, you know, nothing too crazy so far, but we definitely did have a situation where that brought us closer. And that day, like, I did feel it, and I'm sure he did too. But we were walking out to go up the river, and Bonzo got a hold of a groundhog. And Bonzo always gets those groundhogs by the back hocks. And he started shaking that groundhog. And Bonzo had been killing a few things lately. I think he was trying to show Burgle how to do it. So Burgle decided he was going to go in and try and help Bonzo kill this groundhog. But Burgle learned a valuable lesson that day. You don't go in for the face unless you're going to put its whole head in your mouth. Because Burgle ran in on this groundhog to get it from, you know, around the head and face. And that groundhog latched onto Burgle's lip. And that groundhog was hanging from Burgle's lip all the way up top. Bonzo had the groundhog by the back hocks, and then the groundhog's hanging from Burgle's lip, just in the air. And Burgle started yipping and yelling, and Bonzo shook that groundhog and ripped it clean down Burgle's lip. Burgle's big old flappy lip, from up at the gum, ripped clean down through and ripped them off. Then Bonzo let go of the groundhog, and Burgle wasn't fazed by this. Burgle kept on still trying to go back in, and it kind of looked like it kind of pissed him off, because then he's like, all right, you ready? Like, he was trying to go back in for the kill, and I stopped him. Bonzo dropped the groundhog, and it spun around and got a hold of Bonzo's tongue. And Bonzo started, yip, 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 yip. And then it ended up letting go of him. And I put my foot on the groundhog, and, you know, we finished him off. Kind of had to. But it was pretty crazy. And I know, so Burgle, I never saw so much blood come out of a dog. It was crazy. He was spraying blood everywhere. And we went up to the spot on the river. I always have first aid on me. So I started trying to patch him up, and he just wouldn't stop bleeding. And man, it was nuts. Just dripping blood all the way home. So we ended up going home, and Burgle let me take care of him. I didn't take him to the vet. I used some animal blood stop, blood clot, and I just like cleaned him up, and he laid there and just let me minister. He just laid there and let me administer first aid to him. Like, he trusted me enough that he let me do it. Like, how many of y'all have a dog that would let you do that? Now, Bonzo lets me do it as well. Like, if I've had to like do different first aid things to Bonzo, and you've got to be able to do that with your dogs. And Burgle's injury was, it didn't phase him, and it was clean, and I didn't take him to the vet. I just cleaned it 3 times a day and just kept it going good. And now he's got a wild-ass battle scar. Let me see if I can show y'all. Let's get it. Here, Burgle. Let me see. You see that? Hold on, baby. Yeah. Look, he's got a little... I don't know if y'all can see that. He's got a wild-ass lip now. He's a crazy boy. Good boy. But yeah, it was an intense day, and he let me take care of him. Now, a tip, something I do that actually helps out. Hey, y'all get away from the edge. Come on now. I don't want anybody falling off. Something that I've done with both my dogs from the start, from when they're puppies, is I just get them used to me touching them all over. And I mean all over. And it sounds funny, but you kind of got to. I just like ears, face, inside their mouth, their paws, their balls. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, all over their body. I do it. I'll just rub them all over their face, their body. Like, I'll make them sit there while I check out their paws. Just get them used to it. Because if I didn't do that, what if, like, one of my dogs has a splinter in their paw? Like, Bonzo has had shards of glass in his paw and his pad from along the river. Jerks that want to throw broken glass and bottles on the ground, and then, your dog steps on it and cuts his paw or something. Like, I've had to look at his paws, but he trusts me to look at his paws. Burgle does too. But from the start, I can't emphasize it enough. You got to get your dog used to just rubbing them all over their body, touching them, harassing them, get them used to it, because there might come a time when you need to administer some kind of first aid for them, and if they don't trust you, they're not going to let you, and that could turn into a problem. So, but going full circle, like that, basically that day with the groundhog was a bonding scenario and situation that Burgle, Bonzo, and I, the 3 of us, had together. That was like the first big one. And there will be more. There was after that, there was another day that Burgle ran a bear down towards me and Bonzo. Like, Burgle was ahead, and the bear, I heard the bear, rah, rah. I heard the bear going, rah. And it actually put its mouth on Burgle. It didn't bite down, but Burgle had a huge wet spot. Good boy. Yeah, you trying to get rough? See, he don't even pull that much. Like, he's so much more gentle. He's starting to. I could sit here and kind of like egg it on. I've started to a little bit. But he chased a dang bear down towards me and Bonzo. Burgle's chasing the bear towards me and Bonzo. Bonzo cuts out on the trail and starts running up towards the bear and chased this bear around. It was just going around in a big circle around me, and it kept getting closer, and it got to where the bear 2 times in a row had ran like right by me, within like a foot of me. And I thought, you know, it's probably, I can't take any chances. So I pulled out my sidearm and I fired off a shot away from all the dogs and the bear, you know, in a safe direction where nothing or anybody was going to get hurt. And that loud noise startled the bear enough that it ran away. Because it kept circling closer and closer, and it was getting close to me. And, you know, you never know. You don't want to take any chances. And it was getting kind of crazy to where I didn't want one of my dogs to get hurt. But that was another wild time with a bear that got them fired up. And there's been a few. We've had some wild times, some fun times. And, you know, they're all bonding experiences. But Burgle's a year old, and we're still working on it. Like, I feel like you never stop bonding. Your bond gets tighter and tighter as the years go on. And, hey, dude, I don't want you all down there. I don't want you to fall off the cliff. I don't think you would, but that'd be terrible. Come on up here. Arr, what's in there? Hey. Look, Bonzo knew where I was pointing. He's teaching him at least. You know, there's times where, you know, Burgle pays attention to what Bonzo's doing. He's slowly starting to get it. And, you know, he's still really young. I have faith that he's going to slowly turn into just like a super badass dog. He already is. He's a good dog. He listens. There will come a time, you know, when he comes into his adolescence. You know, I'm waiting on it. It might be 6 months from now. It might start tomorrow. But there's going to come a time sooner than later when he kind of wants to just challenge everything I do and butt heads. And it happened with Bonzo. Bonzo kind of still does it a little bit. Bonzo will kind of look at me and just be like, F you. Eventually, you know, it depends on the tone. If I give him a certain tone, he'll come. But if he knows I'm not, like, totally into it and serious, like, he'll just, sometimes he's like, nah, I'm busy. Burgle usually always comes. And we'll see if that keeps up. You know, both of them, I leave them both off the leash most of the time. And, you know, if I can help it, some people might not like that. You know, people on the trail get pissed sometimes, but hey, I have control of my dogs. Like, I can call them back, like, if need be, and they're respectful. Like, Burgle wants to go up and say hi to people, which I've been working with him to stop him from doing that, because, you know, somebody has a dog that doesn't like dogs, and my dog, it's not fair to those other people to have Burgle running up and getting in the dog and everybody's face. So we're working on him. He's still a pup. Bonzo's good at it. Bonzo will just stop and wait till I tell him to go by or this or that and wait for my command. Bonzo and Burgle are getting good at commands. Like, Bonzo's really good. Like, he knows up, down, over, under, this way, that way, wait here. Like, and I've started teaching, you know, from the start. I've been working with Burgle with those same commands, and Burgle pays attention to what Bonzo's doing. It kind of really has helped, you know, having a mentor dog in Bonzo. And it's also helped me. I learned so much from Bonzo, and then I've kind of used what I've learned from Bonzo the hard way on Burgle and making it the easy way. Like, just certain things. Like, I didn't put Bonzo on a leash until he was a year and a half old, and he about tore my shoulder out. Hey, Burgle. Hey, Gotta have control. He about tore my shoulder out. It was crazy. Bonzo, you know, it took like till he was probably around 3 years old before I figured out how to get him to walk on a leash without yanking me around terrible. But from learning how to do that from the start, I do it with Burgle. And Burgle walks on the leash pretty darn good, in my opinion. You know, he likes to be just a little bit ahead of me, but if I tell him to get behind me, he'll walk behind me. He doesn't yank and pull. If it gets to where he's putting even the slightest tension on the leash, I can just give him a little tap and he'll back off. Very respectful on the leash. You know, I've had people like, I'll take Burgle to the flea market and people always compliment that he minds me well, is what they say. He minds you well. And it's just, it's all about just, you know, sticking to your guns, having a plan, and following through with that plan. And don't let a cute little puppy manipulate you into doing what they want. Because dogs, that's what dogs do. They manipulate. They manipulate you into giving them loving treats. You know, who's really benefiting the most when someone gives a dog a treat? You know, the dog's mind wasn't on that treat until you pulled it out. Like, the dog doesn't know any better. Treats are for humans. The human giving the dog the treat, it makes them feel really good, makes them feel like the dog loves them and wants them, when all that stinking dog wants is a treat. I mean, I think my dogs like me, but when it comes to food, they know I'm like a big old vending machine of food. Now, I don't give it, I keep them on a strict diet, and I do give them treats occasionally, but there's times where it might go a week or two without even giving them a treat. It's just kind of whenever. I started off on treats with them and just slowly kind of wean them off to where, you know, I can call them to me and they probably want a treat, but they forget about it. It's like, all right, he ain't giving me a treat this time, but maybe next time. And I give them a good boy, you know, good boy coming. I let them know when I appreciate them. I let them know when they're doing something good. Now, I'm not one of those knuckleheads that's just like, good boy, and clapping and yelling and getting all hyper and getting the dog all hyper. And like, that's all that does is just raises that dog's frickin' energy levels. Like, you know, it heightens, probably just gets them excited, anxious, just, you know, it's like when you're doing that, dogs feed off you. Dogs feed off your energy, in my opinion. Like, my dogs feed off my energy. Look at these guys. These guys definitely feed off my energy. Like, they know when I'm pissed off, when I'm stressed, and it works its way down the leash. Like, if I'm mad and pissed off, like, they're not going to walk as good on the leash. Got to stay calm. Like, one thing that I learned from Bonzo, doing with Bonzo, that just, it's hard, but it's something that you just, you know, if you can bring yourself to do this, like, it helps big time. And that is, you know, when they piss me off, like, there's times where they're not coming when I'm calling for them, and my blood's starting to boil, and I'm getting mad, and I'm thinking, oh, they're just not listening to me. They don't care. They're not coming on purpose and all this stuff. And I start thinking all this, you know, false crap up in my head that, oh, you know, they're defying me and this and that. Really, you know, when that dog eventually does come, I got to grip my teeth and say, good boy. I can't be yelling at them and just being like, ah, you know, when they finally come back, if I'm yelling at them, beating them, just getting all crazy with them, do you think they're going to come back next time I'm calling for them? No, because they think that's what's going to happen. You know, got to kind of just lead by example, and dogs know body language. Dogs know your energy. Like, it is what it is. You just got to be the strongest. Leader of the pack. These guys are getting crazy down there. But I don't know. It's been cool. Burgle is turning out to be a pretty darn good dog so far, and we got a long way to go with him. But it is what it is. Like, just gotta. All you can do is just keep on trying. Like, I just keep on trying to learn every day. Keep on trying to make him better. He's 74 pounds already. He's a year old. I can see some of the hard-headedness in him. So that's like the bull mastiff in him, bull-headed. And he's definitely protective and a good guard dog. Oh, the other thing that he is great is with kids. Like, unbelievably great with kids. Like, anytime there's a kid around, he's attracted to go up and see him. And he'll let them just, like, have their way with him. And, like, even little kids. And I still monitor it because you should never trust your dog around kids without you being in the presence, because you never know what could happen. You know, they might do something. A kid might do something that bothered the dog enough to snap at him, even though, you know, they're just trying to tell him to back off. But, hey, come on, knuckleheads, get away from the edge. But Burgle has been great with kids, and that's a trait from these, the bull mastiff breed and the lab breed. So, I don't know. I'd say if the Mastador could be a very good family dog, guard dog, but you have to be the leader and you have to be the boss, because you don't want a 130 or 40 pound dog running the house, jumping up on the counter and stealing the Thanksgiving turkey or the ham, or, you know, just, it's on how you raise them. Like, Burgle has, I'll tell y'all one more thing before I get off here. I think I've gabbed enough. But, so, the lady who brought to my attention that there was these Mastador puppies, she's kind of a friend. She runs a convenience store, and I still, I go in there and say hi to her, and she got one of the puppies as well, Burgle's brother. And she was, she's told me, like, how their dog is, and totally different than Burgle. Like, their dog is resource guarding, won't let, like, the husband or her up on the sofa sometimes, growling at people, barking at people, like, just getting a little bit, like, violent, just being more out of control. Like, she says he's a butthead, but I think she lets the dog get out of control. Total opposite of Burgle. But I've been the boss from the start, and dogs want to be led. If you're not going to lead your dogs, then they're all going to think they're the alpha, and they're all going to just go do what they want, and it's going to be mayhem. When everyone's the alpha, it's kind of like too many chiefs in the teepee. It just don't work out. So, be in charge, stay strong, be the one your dogs need, show them the way. It's kind of hard being a dog in the humans world, but, you know, you can kind of teach them the way, and they can live a long, happy life. It's either that or they can get themselves in trouble, and that's the end of it. So, you know, just try and be loving. Burgle's a loving dog. Bonzo's a loving dog too, but just in his own way. But, I don't know, I feel like I've gabbed enough. I appreciate y'all watching this, and I hope you got something out of it. Thought it was interesting. Thank you if you made it to the end. And if y'all got any questions about Bergelmir or Mastadors in general, like, if I can answer them, I sure will. If y'all have a Mastador, I know one of y'all the other day on one of my videos was talking about their Mastador, how it was like the best hunting dog they ever got, and they rescued it from a shelter. Just awesome, great hunting dog. And Burgle's shaping out to be just that as well, and only a year old, but he's showing a lot of promise in a lot of different areas. So, I don't know. I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya! Alright, babies. You ready to go, Bungie? Let's do it.